Hi, my name is Dennis Taxacre.
And I'm Debbie Taxacre. I'm from the original Strudel factory, Conneaut Lake, Pennsylvania.
We're in our bakery production area where we make our strudel and do our operations from to travel within a 500-mile radius selling strudel. Back in 1976, we were in Conneaut Lake and we had an art festival going on, and we had some sandwich shops that we were operating at the time. And a fellow came in from out of town who was a master pastry chef from Innsbruck, Austria, and he was selling strudel. And my wife came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to taste this. It's the best thing I've ever tasted." And I tasted it, and my gosh, it was different. It was really good. We got to be friends, and he gave me his background. He's from Innsbruck, and he used to be in charge of the strudel operation for the Innsbruck pastry shop. And he was in charge of strudel. And he was like, I think, the world's master of making strudel. And he taught us how to make it over time. We started selling it, and the years have gone by. This is our 42nd year of dealing with pastry.
We're at the bakery, and this is where we produce all of our strudel. We don't use an automated system. It's all handmade. Everything from the dough to the fillings to the freezer in boxes. It's all hand assembly. We make our dough from scratch. We make it with flour, salt, water, ice water, and butter.
One of the things with this product is the puff pastry. It's a rare talent that can make puff pastry. Most everybody wants to use the big complexes to make product for the general public, want an automated type of a process. And what we were doing, we're using a margarine that has a melting point a little bit lower than the human body. So what that means is you won't, when you're done eating this, you won't have a greasy film in the roof of your mouth. It actually will melt in your mouth. And to keep that product from, I'll say, contaminating the dough and making it turn into like pie dough, you have to keep the product cold. And it's a complicated process. Most big producers do not want that. They want something fast and quick. The puff pastry we make has 81 layers in it. And when you're baking this product, first, when you're making this product, you have to keep it cold. So it's never warmer than 45 degrees because it'll be a problem. When you put the product together, you want to handle it as fast and as less human contact as possible. When we pack it, we want to make sure we freeze it as quick as we can to keep the temperature from rising to having a problem with the product. That automatic sheeter, or automatic rolling pin they call it, that helps us make this, as we make the books of dough, as we keep on folding it and processing it, it keeps multiplying the layers of dough in it. There's layers of margarine, last 10 to 15 minutes of baking. It actually turns to steam, and that steam is what makes the pastry puff.
We have 5 different fillings: apple, cherry, cheese, apricot almond, and our favorite in the fall is pumpkin. When we start to make the fillings, on the cherry, that we have to drain the cherries to get the juice so that we can add it to our starch. And then we make all the starch, and then we add it to the cherries. And so it makes a thick filling so that it's not, makes your dough soggy.
When we're making this product, we spread the filling out. We spread the filling out on trays. And the reason we're putting it on trays is to get a uniform product of the same depth. Every tray is weighed, so it weighs so much, so we know the proper filling. And then add 10.5 pounds of filling on the tray. Then once the tray comes off of that, the next step of the girls are leveling the filling on the tray.
Cheese is totally different. For the cheese, we get this baker's cheese in. It's a special cheese that we get in, and it comes from one company. It's amazing. It's almost like cream cheese, but we have to add the sugar and the margarine to it to give it a different flavor. and then we add lemon and a little bit of cornstarch to thicken it, to keep it, and then the egg whites. We froth up the egg whites to like meringue, and then we mix it all together, and it keeps it light and fluffy for inside the dough. Cream cheese is smoother, but it doesn't have the actual flavor of the baker's cheese. And the baker's cheese does better because it holds up. It doesn't have to be refrigerated like cream cheese would have to go in the refrigerator, and then it would hurt your dough. The moisture makes the dough soggy. Our apricot almond, we make it from scratch. We make an almond cake, beat it for almost 45 minutes to get the sugar dissolved. And then we add the rest of it, the flour, the cornstarch, and then after that's done, we always have the apricots on trays in the freezer so that when the cake mix is finished, then we pull that out, we put the cake mix on top of the apricots, mark it, and it goes back in the freezer. Our seasonal favorite is pumpkin. It goes from September all the way to Christmas. It's almost outbeats cheese and the apricot. We make it from scratch. We don't cook the pumpkin, but we have the big buckets of pumpkin, and then we mix it. The only thing I put in it is cinnamon. I don't like the allspice or any of the spices. And then we tray it, mark it, it goes in the freezer, and it's ready for the next day. Keep it frozen so that the filling doesn't run out of the dough when we're wrapping it.
There's a couple different reasons for the graham crackers. One of the reasons is to give it a nice, thin, even coating. So we take our big cutter, which is portionally divided, so everybody gets the same amount of filling, and the cost is the same per strudel that we make. It cuts it, and every tray makes 24 portions of filling, which is 2 cases of product when it's finished, when it's finally wrapped. Now, by pushing that divider, or that big cookie cutter, I call it, or tray cutter, we press it down, the graham cracker goes down by the different, it's not actually cutting blades, it's flat blades that push the graham crackers down into the filling. So that once it's frozen and we bring it out, we can cut the individual portions out so they're all uniform. Now when we put it onto the dough, we flip the graham cracker crumb side down. And the purpose for that is whenever you have, say, a pie that your mom baked at home, the bottom of the pie crust was never done. And the reason is it gets soggy and never has a chance to get heated to bake. What the graham crackers do is sort of like breadcrumbs and meatballs. It disappears. You don't taste it. It takes some of the flavor that you lose by cooking the meatballs. But this way, the graham crackers take the flavor of the filling that you have it attached to, and it lets the bottom of the dough be baked.
To make the dough rise, there's the steam from the filling so that it all comes together and it all separates all the layers. We put the holes in the top so that it'll let the steam out and keep the filling inside the dough. When I put the trays in the oven, usually I'll do 5 trays at a time of the same product at these large festivals so that it bakes evenly and everything comes out perfect. When we were doing the making of the dough, I'd have extra runs and I was just throwing the dough away or giving it to somebody to use. They could use it for pies, they could use it just to make cookies. But I decided to, when I was a little girl, my mother would make pinwheels. And so from that, I took the sticks, the extra dough, and I started striking it with, cutting it long, spraying with pure vanilla, dipping it in sugar and cinnamon, baking it. It came out perfect. And so then after we baked it, when it was still hot, I would re-dip it in the cinnamon and sugar, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And the first time out, We sold unbelievable. I couldn't keep up with the cinnamon sticks. So then we started to do the cinnamon sticks. Most of the time, they'll take the sweets home, but at the festival, they're hungry, they want something totally different. We have 4 different kinds. We have a spinach and cheese, a broccoli and cheese, a German sausage, and a beef Wellington. The beef Wellington and the spinach are our top sellers. We take the spinach, we cut the spinach, we buy baby spinach, we chop it, cut it, mix it with cheese and of different kinds of spices. And then the beef Wellington, we buy black Angus, ground chuck, mix it with different ingredients, Worcestershire sauce, fresh onions, and then we roll it, we freeze it in the pastry, and then when we go to the festivals, it's amazing, especially when you can smell the beef Wellington. It's important for our customers, if they're baking it at home, they bake it to the right temperatures and the right timing, because the dough is not separated.
When you're baking it, the last few minutes are the most important. People today think that because something is golden, like a yellow cake or a Twinkie, that it's done. It'll still taste really good, but you're not taking advantage of the puff pastry. You have to realize there's 81 layers of dough. So it'll still taste good, but when you're baking this product, when the center is this tight, when you tap on the ends, the folded ends, they're crusty like a regular pie crust. When the center is as tough as pie crust, it's done. Now, if the outside layer gets a little bit too dark, you know, the baker's secret is powdered sugar. You can cover anything. Or there's 81 layers of dough. You can scrape off the top layer. Nobody knows the wiser. But most Europeans come to you, especially old Germans, and they'll tell you they want the darkest ones possible because they know what puff pastry is. They were raised with it, and they haven't found it since. So they're just tickled to death to be able to have a chance of buying it and experiencing it again. We've been doing this product for so long, people in all the cities know us. They're waiting for us to get there. We do sell frozen product to the public. We sell at a discounted amount. We have baking instructions that we give them with the product, and there's baking instructions online. It's very easy to do. That way they don't have to wait for us. They can enjoy it all during the year. One of the best things that we try to encourage people to do is to buy the frozen strudel when they see us. When I see people buying a large amount of baked strudel, I ask them, I go, do you have a party you're taking this to? They go, no, we want to enjoy it at home. We freeze it like this. I try to encourage them to take it home raw, frozen, because we make this product all the time in the shop, 5 days a week. We make a raw frozen product. I try to take them home, or to buy it here at the shop. Take it home, take it back to where you're from, and bake it yourself when you want it. When your company's there, or when you wake up in the middle of the night and want something fresh. We do a lot in the local economy. We try to buy mostly Pennsylvania products to make our strudel with. We do all we can to encourage that. We're part of the PA Preferred program in Pennsylvania. We're a Pennsylvania approved provider. Harrisburg has done a great job pushing this. Department of Agriculture. There's a lot in the local area that we support. We go out of town to do our sales, but everything to support everything we're doing originates here in Crawford County, or at least in Pennsylvania.